Welcome to Dad Bods, Crabcakes, and Sports, where husky middle-aged men share insight on the latest Baltimore sports news. From the bank to the yard and beyond, we're breaking down the Ravens, Orioles, Terps, and more. Baltimore's best sports podcast starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Dad Bods, Crabcakes, and Sports. Jason and Mike here with our favorite guest. Everyone don't get jealous. Our very favorite guest because he was our very first guest. Kevin Oestreicher from Locked On Ravens. Kevin, thank you very much for spending some time here with us today. I really hope you had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year's. Everything good so far?
Yeah, to you as well. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and everything good. And everything's a little better knowing that this team is actually playing for something in Week 18. I wouldn't have known what to do with myself if they were eliminated and we just were kind of in no man's land here. So hoping that the Ravens can start this new year off right with a big win and get their way into the postseason.
So something is feeling kind of interesting to me. The way that all of this is panning out. Like Mike and I talked several times. You might have even talked about with us on the show. I mean, every time that the Ravens have gone into the playoffs over the last 10 years or so as like one of the top teams, they've underperformed. Every time they've pretty much, the 2000 team, they were on a pretty good hot streak when they won the Super Bowl. But the 2012 team, when they won the Super Bowl, they kind of went in as an underdog. So things are kind of developing over the last few weeks that seem very interesting to me. And things are kind of falling into place. Lamar's back to practice. I mean, do you kind of have the same feeling? Or am I just hopeful for no reason?
No, I think there's certainly credence to what you're saying. And I think that the playoffs, it's not about who the best team was over the course of the regular season. It's who's playing the best at the time that the playoffs begin. And, when a team finds a hot streak, and I guess that's not always the case because that 2012 team was horrible going into the postseason, and then they were able to pull off that stretch. But I think it truly is just like you find stuff out about yourself over the course of a season, and you understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, and you just hope that your weaknesses don't pop up in the postseason, to where I think, you win in the regular season and get to the postseason with your strengths, but your weaknesses actually eliminate you when it comes time for the postseason. So what gives me a little bit of hope, and again, I want to see it against the Steelers front, is the offensive line has played their best football over the last 2 weeks of the season. And we know that is the big topic of conversation in terms of weakness, but these last 2 weeks, Derrick Henry, last 2 possessions of that Patriots game aside, they have been out physicaling teams up front, getting to the second level, and it just feels like Ravens football again, where it's like, they're telling teams they're going to run the ball. They're lining up and saying, I dare you to stop us. And those teams just can't do it. And so obviously there is context to that because New England was without arguably their second best player in Milton Williams, and some other injuries happened throughout the game. Green Bay was playing second and third stringers with no Micah Parsons, Devontae Wyatt, etc. But they did what they were supposed to do against beat up front. So now I want to see it against these other teams. But I do think that, over the course of Baltimore's history, I think the fan base would rather them not be the 1 seed or not be that favorite, because we've seen over the course of their history, and this obviously precedes Lamar Jackson, they kind of like going under the radar and being the underdogs and saying, doubt us and see what happens. So I definitely hear you, and it gives me a little hope too.
Well, no doubt having a two-time MVP back under center, hopefully on Sunday evening, helps the Ravens' circumstances. And like you said, Kevin, the offensive line has played excellent over the last couple of weeks, and obviously the defensive front in Pittsburgh is a little different than the defensive front you just described there in Green Bay. And obviously, I'm going to assume that T.J. Watt will be back in this game, but Highsmith played lights out, I think, against the Browns the other day as I watched them play, and obviously a different battle they have to face. But Huntley did a great job of getting the ball out quickly in Green Bay and finding his receivers. So what's the key, do you think, with Lamar Jackson under center for this offensive line to continue its success Sunday night?
Yeah, I think honestly, if they can have success on early rushing downs like we saw, and I don't necessarily expect it to be as dominant. I mean, I don't think Derrick Henry's running for 200 plus and 4 touchdowns against the Steelers front. But one of the big things we saw in that game, and honestly in that Patriots game as well, is Baltimore putting themselves in second and shorts and third and shorts, which you were able to just kind of do those one-hit quick reads and going out there and, throwing a out route to Zay Flowers or, a slant route to whoever, Andrews or whatnot. But I think if you can get yourself into those second and short situations against that defense, it will put you in a lot better situation. And with Huntley, like, he did what he was supposed to do, where that was the game plan for him. I know they called the game differently than they usually do with Lamar, because Lamar just, I think, offers a lot more. And it's not, I'm not trying to like discredit Huntley. He's played awesome. He's played great, and he's a great insurance policy for Lamar Jackson. But essentially his job was to not put the ball in harm's way and not make a game-ending mistake, which I think he did really well. I think there was only one throw from Huntley in that Packers game where I was like, oh, I don't know about that, in that end zone play where it was supposed to go to Bateman, and Zay Flowers got injured on that play for like a play or two or whatever it was. But I think early down rushing success will be big. And that Steelers front in the first game without Derek Harmon, where they go from one of the worst run defenses in the league to the best in the league with Derek Harmon out there on the field. Without him in that first matchup, Derrick Henry had 25 carries for 94 yards, which isn't, terrible, but it's not particularly great either. So I think that that's going to be a really big key. And then someone else not named Zay Flowers has to step up in this passing offense. I mean, it's been 17 weeks. Mark Andrews has scored some touchdowns, but, he's been pretty underwhelming this season. Rashad Bateman's been pretty bad this year. Isaiah Likely's had a down year. It feels like D-Hop has made plays when he's been called upon, but they're not calling upon him maybe as much as some people would like this year. Honestly, it feels like Charlie Kohler's been their best tight end this year, so maybe you get Charlie Kohler involved, and that's what happens. But I think that on offense, the Ravens do have opportunities to make a couple of big trends fall in their favor, which would make life a lot more difficult for Pittsburgh's defense.
The one thing you said about Huntley taking care of the ball, the one thing I think that really makes me nervous about this matchup is it's a Steelers-Ravens matchup. So you're waiting for that. Who's going to shoot themselves in the foot? How are the Ravens, unfortunately, with my negativity, going to shoot themselves in the foot? Against the Packers, they didn't turn the ball over. Like, they took care of the football. But we rewind to New England. Zay Flowers fumbles the ball in a key part of the game, trying to make a play, granted. But how much do you think, and I know this is like, oh, you have to take care of the football, but really just not, Mike and I watch these games and we text each other and I'm like, oh crap, there it goes again. Like, we're just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely nerve-wracking to me as well, because, I mean, those are the big plays. And I think I've said it all year. This team is a very big momentum team, and that goes both directions, where feels like if they have a big momentum play go their way, they can ride that for like 2 quarters and just stomp you. But if there's a big, like a fumble or, like a Flowers, Henry, a Lamar interception, whatever, or just a weird defensive play that happens that doesn't go in their favor, feels like that can derail them for a couple quarters. And by the time they shake it off, the game's already out of reach, or it's too little too late. So that's been the big thing. Like, Baltimore has had a lot of success when they don't turn the ball over. And obviously, like, that's pretty obvious statement. It goes both ways as well, where when Baltimore's defense, who couldn't force a turnover for their lives earlier in the season, now they've started to do that. And they usually are able to win when they force a turnover. It's not perfect, they're not undefeated, but it gives them a much better chance to win, what we've seen with that defense doing it too. So the turnover battle, it's going to be huge, especially, if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm trying to make this as sloppy of a game as possible, because that's what we've seen. Like, and that's how Pittsburgh stays close in these games and wins these games, is like, it's very rare. Like the last 2 games of last year, that late season, regular season game in the wild card round with Pittsburgh, that was very rare for Baltimore Steelers, because, Derrick Henry ran all over them, and it was just like they got beat down. But we saw them add Harmon. I mean, they essentially drafted Derrick Harmon to stop Derrick Henry and the Ravens. That was the forefront of their minds. And so usually what we'll see, especially at Acrisure, like last season, that second play of the game was Derrick Henry fumbling the football, and that kind of turned the game on its head. And while the defense possible had 6 field goals in that game, I don't even think they scored a touchdown. You have Justin Tucker misses and other weird plays that happen. But those are the types of swing momentum plays in a winner-go-home game. And I think Tyler Linderbaum said it pretty perfectly. Like, this is the playoffs already. Like, the playoffs are here for the Ravens and the Steelers, because it's winner go home. If you win this game, you advance. If you lose this game, your season's over. You'll be watching from the couch. So you have a momentum play or two that goes your way. I think both those teams will ride that momentum pretty hard. And honestly, it could be the difference between a winner or a loss.
There's been a lot of outside noise, especially from national media, regarding Lamar Jackson this last week or so.
It only took
Um,
us 10 minutes to get to this.
have
Here we
to, right?
go.
Now, considering, I think obviously you have a two-time MVP quarterback. You're gonna, he's the guy you want under center, obviously on Sunday. And there have been some Ravens fans that are clamoring for Tyler Huntley and things like that, which I think is just absolutely ridiculous. Regardless, obviously Tyler played well in Green Bay and even in Chicago earlier this year. Lamar got up there in front of the podium today and kind of stepped on, squashed some of those things that were talked about maybe via Mike Preston or that the national media has latched on to. What are your thoughts on how this saga has played out with Lamar Jackson over the last couple of weeks? Is there any credence to any of those things, and how does it play out moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the word I would use to describe it is just unfortunate. And honestly, pretty disrespectful to Lamar in general, because again, like there's been no proof that any of this stuff is true. I mean, there were reports and not just the article from the Baltimore Sun, but other people talking about all this stuff. We had never heard that Lamar Jackson would love to play in Miami. Where's that coming from? We've never heard Lamar is up playing video games. Where's that coming from? Like, again, it's one thing if you have like credible reports of like, oh, hey, we've heard about this before and this is all coming to a breaking point. We've never heard any of that about Lamar before. And he said it during his press conference on Thursday where, he's just like, he doesn't know where any of this is coming from because he said he's never quit on his team and he's never quit in anything. And it's just unfortunate because this has been one of the big defining things of Lamar's career is he just takes criticism that is unfair and that other quarterbacks just do not get, especially the elite ones that he is in the category with. Joe Burrow is more injury prone than Lamar Jackson is. And I've not heard one thing about, the Bengals should move on from Joe Burrow because he keeps getting injured and, it's hurting the Bengals' chances and whatnot. And they need to find a trade partner and reset at the position. Lamar's missed two back halves of seasons, back half of 2021 and back half of 2022. And then obviously he's been banged up. He missed the month this season. But other than that, he's been healthy. I mean, he's not perfect, but Joe Burrow's been a lot more injured than he has. And then if you want to continue to go down the criticism rabbit hole, I mean, Josh Allen had that terrible throw to Khalil Shakir in the back of the end zone on that 2-point conversion play on Philadelphia. And then you hear all the excuses. Well, it was on a bum ankle. And well, that's a tough angle to throw the ball. But Lamar Jackson hits Mark Andrews practically in the chest in that Buffalo game. And the narrative is, man, that ball could have been placed a little better. That wasn't a great throw. In other words, it's like, what are we doing here? It just feels like people want to place Lamar in tiers with quarterbacks that are realistically 2 or 3 tiers below where he actually is, but want to criticize him like he's the best quarterback of all time. And I feel like with Lamar, if he makes a bad play or a bad throw or a bad decision in a game, like, yeah, like we can criticize him for that. And that's okay because no player is, absolutely absolved of every little bit of criticism. Like that is fine to me when it is reasonable, but it just feels like we have gone so far beyond reasonable. It's become personal with Lamar, with guys. And I'm just like, I've never seen a quarterback talked about this way in a very long time, if ever. And, it feels like when things are going really well, Marcus Spears said it pretty great. Like, where was this when he was winning MVPs and putting the team on his back? It just feels like when he or the Ravens or whatever are at a so-called low point, all the haters flock back to him. And it's just been the unfortunate part of Lamar's career. And, he doesn't deserve it, in my opinion.
I think one of the things that he gets, and even probably a little from me as well, I don't know fairly, unfairly, but I have questioned his toughness in the past because, like, for one instance, I feel like he asked, I initially thought he asked out of that Kansas City game earlier in the year. They were getting like thumped on. And then obviously he came up with a hamstring. So I was a little questioning his toughness. And then you have Josh Allen playing on one foot and Justin Herbert playing a couple days after surgery. So all of this stuff nationally starts coming out. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Like, clearly you don't want a guy. I'm going to just say 70% of Lamar is still better than 80% of the NFL, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
But I'm not an NFL player. I don't know. I'm not Lamar. I can't tell. But that's kind of what I'm seeing from the outside.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think that the conversations about Huntley is kind of what John Harbaugh talked about of like, it's really great that they have confidence in him and like they do. But I'm personally taking 70% Lamar over, like you said, 80, probably 90% of the NFL. Like, that's just what it is. And, I personally don't question Lamar's toughness because I know he's such a competitor and he wants to be out there. I do know that it can be frustrating, I think, for him when, he's dealing with all this stuff and then all this stuff is coming out about, oh, is he actually injured? Does he want to do this or do that? So I think it's just accumulation of everything that has come out about him over the course, even dating back to Louisville. I mean, there were, things coming out about, is he a real quarterback? Is, got to play wide receiver and all that. So I'm sure it's a culmination of a lot of different stuff. But to me, I personally believe that with the competitor that he is and the team first player that he is, he is someone that, I mean, to me, I look at all these trade pieces in articles about, oh, maybe Miami, maybe Minnesota. And I'm just like, you look at this, I'm like, could you imagine this team with JJ McCarthy, a quarterback, and 3 picks? I mean, they'd have to reset their entire roster because of the timeline. I mean, this roster to me is built for Lamar. And if they were to move on from him, which again, Lamar has made it clear he wants to be in Baltimore, so I'm pretty sure we can put all that conversation to bed at this point. You would have to do like a 1-for-1 swap for Burrow if you wanted that type of thing to happen, because you're not going to trade all these pieces to rebuild because, again, you're built to win now. So if you draft a quarterback, you'd have to be really sure that you could put the pieces around him. And Minnesota thought they did do that with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and DJ Hawkinson and all these. They rebuilt their trenches, and they're not making the playoffs this season. So I think that for me, Lamar is somebody that, I personally love that he's a quarterback of this team, and I hope he stays for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kevin. I don't see a scenario where we trade Lamar Jackson, or at least something that benefits the Ravens that ends up that way. Yeah. With the new year, I mean, it's a time for reflection for most people. And, for me, maybe it's less scrolling on my phone, saying no to that 3rd or 4th slice of pizza. But if I'm Eric DeCosta and I'm the Baltimore Ravens, what have I learned this season? And what is my resolution in the new year moving forward? Where do we need to work?
Yeah, I think a big one for me, if I was to give Eric DeCosta's New Year's resolution, it would be to finally abandon the compensatory picks. I think that this is the time where you just need to scrap it, because I think for too long, and it works and it's worked for them, but you see what the guard position is this year for them. And I had said it the whole offseason, they didn't do enough. I would have been okay if Andrew Voorhees and Daniel Falele had won those starting jobs, if they had earned them in training camp, if there was a competition and a battle, and at the end of the training camp, at the end of the preseason, Daniel Falele had played the best and earned it, and Andrew Voorhees had played the best and earned it. That would have been okay with me. But it essentially felt like they just handed those jobs to those guys before anything started, didn't let them earn it. And then we kind of saw some of the warning signs in the preseason, and we're just sitting here like, well, they don't have any other options because everybody else is gone. You can't sign anybody else really at this point that could help. And to me, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Baltimore doesn't really get all that active at the start of free agency because they want to wait for that compensatory pick deadline to expire. And I think there becomes a certain point when you have a quarterback like Lamar and a roster that's built around him and, guys like Derrick Henry and Roquan and all these players, where it's just time to make the all-in moves and not worry about a 3rd round pick in the next year's drafts. I get that with Lamar and the deal that he has, it's really important to hit on rookies and guys on rookie deals so that you can have that production on a really cheap cost in terms of contract. But we saw this year, the Ravens had 11 draft picks. And the entire draft, I was like, they are not going to be able to keep 11 draft picks on this roster. You're essentially just wasting assets. Whether that, you package some of those and trade up for a guy, or, you trade them for a vet that will help you. And what did we see? I mean, they cut Garrett Dellinger, who was their last pick. Both their corners went on IR, which was unfortunate, but I wasn't sure that one or both of those guys were going to make it anyway because they already had a crunch of the position. So to me, I think that it's great to stack up draft picks, but at a certain point, you need to use those draft picks to the best interest of your team. And if you're not going to do that, and don't worry about the draft picks and go and sign some guys, like go and throw a 3-year, $50 million deal at one of the best guards on the market this offseason. Go throw a huge contract and a pass rusher, or go trade a second or third or fourth or whatever, package some picks for an elite pass rusher. Maybe even trade a first, get a little crazy. We know the Ravens never do that. You can get a little crazy. You trade a first for a Max Crosby or something. I just think it's time for them to finally make that all-in move on the trade market, which again, Roquan was as close to that as we have gotten so far, and that was a great move from DaCosta. But I think it's time for that move, another all-in one, to happen again.
Oh man, I couldn't agree anymore. Oh, okay. Before we play our game, because I know you got to run here soon, give me a final prediction for this Sunday, and then hopefully we can maybe get you on if they win this Sunday before the playoffs start.
For sure. I'd love that. All right. My prediction is that they will win. I just think that, honestly, the DK Metcalf loss is something I just don't think Pittsburgh is going to be able to overcome. He had 148 yards in that first Ravens game. The next closest receiver or Steelers pass catcher in terms of yards was Jaylen Warren at 49. So DK had 99 more receiving yards than the next closest Steeler. And looks like they will be getting Calvin Austin back, which will help, and a couple of other guys. But I mean, DK is that matchup problem. He was a matchup nightmare the first time these two teams met. And I think that if Baltimore, and I think that they're not going to get as consistent pressure as Cleveland did because, well, they don't have Myles Garrett on their team. But if they can get at least some level of somewhat consistent pressure on Aaron Rodgers, I think they'll be in good shape, because these guys that they're asking to run these routes, like Adam Thielen, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, guys like Ben Skoranek, or some of their tight ends, like, they have weapons. But I just think that you can overload on some of these guys now that DK Metcalf is not there, and just balance out your defense a little bit more. And while I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game, I have it as 20-19 Ravens in typical Ravens-Steelers rivalry fashion, an ugly slugfest type of game that's going to stress everybody out, but the stress will be worth it if the Ravens come out on top like I predict.
I'm already stressed out. Look at my face. I don't know if I'm going to make it through this game, Mike.
Just hang in there, Jason. I'm worried about that Tyler Loop last second field goal. I told you that last week. I don't want that.
No. All right, Mike, what do you got for us?
All right, so Kevin, we play a game on this show pretty regularly called Ballpark Figures. And in this game, we basically have a top 10 list that you guys have to kind of discover based on a category I give. So the category for today is Ravens, and it is the top 10 passing yard leaders from quarterbacks in a Ravens history. And you guys have to compile the list of quarterbacks that are the top 10 passers in yards.
This is in a career, right?
Correct.
Is this in order, or can we just list off any name?
No, we just we talk about it between us, then we work
so
together.
The two of you can collaborate and come up with a sure response, and then you get 3 strikes and you're out, kind of deal.
3 strikes. Okay. Well,
I think we know. Had that many quarterbacks?
Yeah, I know. Right? I feel like there are going to be some low passing yard totals on here.
I mean, I'm thinking Lamar for sure, right?
Mike? Yeah. Do you guys concur on Lamar?
Yes, concur.
Yeah. Lamar is second with 22,370 passing yards in Ravens history.
All right.
Joe, for sure, right?
Joe Flacco for sure. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Joe's number 1 all time. Yep. Joe has 38,245 passing yards. You got the top 2. Well done, boys.
All right. Now I think Kyle Bowler probably going to be somewhere on this list.
Yeah, unfortunately. I can't believe that name came out your mouth.
You're going in order because he's number 3. Well done, Kevin.
What the heck?
Yep, that's scary.
Terrible.
7,846. I think based mainly on longevity, but we'll give that to Kyle.
Yeah.
Vinny? We like Vinny there, Kevin?
Yeah. Let's do it.
You guys are on fire right now. He's number 4.
There it is.
7,148. Can you run the gauntlet?
Man.
Oh, don't give us too much credit yet, because it's starting to get ugly.
This is where it starts to get tough.
Would Steve McNair be a stretch?
No, I think he's. I like that answer. I like that answer. Is that on there?
If you'd believe it, he is number 5 as we go in order.
Let's keep it rolling. Steve
McNair.
All right.
4,163. 4,000.
I know that's what I'm saying. Now the low totals are gonna start to. Man,
now the going gets tough.
Trent. I
was thinking Trent.
Trent
another one I
Dilfer.
got after that.
Is that you guys concur
Yeah,
with Trent?
I think
do
so.
that. We'll do that.
I'm sorry. Unfortunately, that's strike one.
Okay.
Look what
Trent
I thought it would have
Dilfer.
been at the very end, like maybe 11 or 12.
He's 13 all
13.
time with
Okay.
1,502.
Because I was gonna say I was thinking Tony
what-
Banks, but now I'm questioning that.
What about like Elvis, maybe?
Yeah. Oh God.
Elvis?
How long did he play? I guess my yeah. Do you want to guess
Maybe-
Elvis?
Let's
I'm
let's
nervous.
let's try it. All right, let's try it.
Elvis
Elvis?
Gerback, Mike.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Number 7. You missed one.
All right.
Number 7.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Elvis is
Terrible.
3,033.
Yeah, we're really
Oh,
getting
yeah.
into this might. Well, do you want to try Tony Banks?
Yeah, let's go with Tony.
Okay,
He
let's
was
try.
on
Let's
the-
try Tony Banks.
Tony was the guy you skipped over at number
Okay.
6.
Okay.
Tony had 3,714 passing yards. So you got the top 7. You need 8, 9, and 10.
Now I feel like we're in the. Now we're in the.
Anthony
rough
Wright, Jim Harbaugh, like these are the guys I'm
Uh,
thinking of now. Oh, they're not good.
How many games did Flacco miss with his injury? When
that
'cause
was late, wasn't it?
I don't think. Yeah. Is then
It
who
was
was it?
cold,
Was
I remember it being cold.
yeah? Because I don't think
Um,
Clausen or Mallet would like some of these backups would fit into
Nah.
that. I would try Harbaugh.
Jason?
Jim Harbaugh, Mike.
Jim Harbaugh. Unfortunately, that's strike 2. He's number 12 with 1,839. You have mentioned a name or two, I think, that are still on the top 10 list.
I mean, what about Anthony Wright?
Yeah,
Like, that one-
I feel like that could be on there.
Did he have
Anthony
one
Wright.
game where he threw for 3,000 yards, Mike?
Well, he had that
Come on.
Seattle game
Yeah.
back in the day. But yeah, so Anthony Wright is number 8. Good job.
Okay.
He has 2,781 passing yards as a Raven. So you just need
Okay.
9 and 10.
Oh man. See now.
You're not. gonna
One
think
is
of, like,
on the
Eric
current
Zier,
roster,
are
if that
you?
helps it anyway.
One what?
Really? One is on the roster. Who is on our roster? Who is our backup quarter? Oh, Tyler Hunt.
Well, is it Tyler?
Tyler Huntley, number 9, all time.
Wow, this team has not had a lot of quarterbacks.
2,383 yards from Tyler.
We want to criticize the head coaches. Look at these quarterbacks they've had all these years. Oh my goodness!
All right, you need number
It's
10.
gonna
You
have to
need
be
number
some
10.
guy that is filled in.
not like Stony Case or anything.
This guy has played 16 games for the Ravens,
Oh my!
and it was a little while ago.
Is he active?
He is not active.
Okay, I was gonna say Josh Johnson, but I doubt he's on there.
Oh yeah, that would have been a good guess actually. Not that we now know it's wrong. But
16 games. Because I mean, I'm telling you, Mallet beat Pittsburgh twice.
This
I
is
was
early
thinking-
on in the Ravens.
Okay, so it's early.
early.
that's not Eric Zier, is it? That's not a guess. This is a discussion.
I have no idea. I am legitimately stumped.
All right, were you born when the Ravens started playing here? You were, right? At least.
Not when they initially started, but very soon after. Yes.
I'm so old. This is great. Okay.
I was 98, so missed it by a couple years.
So
You have
Vinny.
mentioned his name. You have mentioned his name.
Oh God. It's either I've mentioned Stony Case and I've mentioned Eric Zier.
It's probably a coin flip between the two.
I mean, Mike's favorite player, I think, was Stony Case. He's mentioned him like a dozen times on this show, actually.
Easy
Maybe
with
that's
favorite player. Memorable, but not favorite.
it.
Memorable because of his name, I guess. Greatest
Yes.
name. I don't know, Kevin. I mean, Eric Zier would be my guess. I
Okay,
guess.
you know, I'll trust you, Jason. Let's rock with it. I'm
right,
down.
let's
I'm
do
down
it.
to rock.
Eric
with it.
Zier is number 10.
All right,
Eric
let's go,
Zier is number
Jason.
10.
Let's go.
Well,
Man,
well
that-
done. 2,367 yards. Our 10th
Wow.
best quarterback ever. Well done.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
You did it.
awesome. That was fun. Kevin,
Yeah,
thank
that
you
was
so
great.
much. I mean, we really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Just let everybody know where they
absolutely.
can find you.
Yeah, you can find me over at Locked On Ravens. So 5 days a week plus more daily Ravens coverage over there. It's available on YouTube or in audio form wherever you get your podcast. So both video and audio is the same show. We also have some bonus stuff that comes out. We have bonus episodes, and I'm doing watch-alongs this year. So I'm going to be doing one for the Ravens and Steelers game on the YouTube channel, and you can see me react either with pure joy or the agony of defeat in real time. So I'm hoping this team can pull off a win. You can also find me over on social media, Chaos Striker 34, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and I'm also one of my New Year's resolutions is I'm starting up my Facebook page again. I'm focusing on that.
Nice.
So adding on social medias as we go. Chaos Striker 34 is that.
Excellent. Well, listen, folks out there, you could get your Ravens information somewhere else, but nowhere better. Kevin is the best. We appreciate you giving a couple knuckleheads the time here. And we hope to have you on to talk about the Ravens win and the next step here. But if not, we'll have you on the off season, talk about what the Ravens are going to do to get better.
Yeah, I love it, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, man. Absolutely. Well, thank you
Thanks,
very much
Kevin.
for Michael Frisky, for Kevin Oestreicher. I'm Jason Weisbecker, and we'll see you next time.
Don't forget to subscribe to Dad Bods, Crabcakes, and Sports on Red Circle, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your free podcasts. And while you're at it, leave us a review. It really helps us out. We're trying to spread the good word about Baltimore sports far and wide. Follow us on social media for more behind-the-scenes actions, memes, and bad sports takes. You can find us at Dad Bods, Crabcakes, and Sports on Instagram, and Dad Bods, Crabcakes, and Sports on our Facebook page. Until next time, keep rocking those dad bods, eating those crab cakes, and never miss the game.